What's this, Marcus? Divorce decrees? Are you really real? Yes, Tessa, that's right. Think of it as my farewell gift to you. I've made the decision to dissolve our union and move on. What I'm hearing amazes me. Are you really just discarding me in this manner, after all these years? Oh, Tessa, please stop being so emotional. For me, you have just ever been a handy way to get money. I appreciate you being my cash dispenser up to this point. How could you say things like that? I believe that we were partners who helped one another during good times and bad. Colleagues. Tessa, please. I've sold the tobacco shop, and I'm going to use the proceeds to live the life I've always wanted and tour the globe. I'm done needing you. So, everything we've built together, the sacrifices I made to pay off your debts, they mean nothing to you? I've moved on, and you are no longer a part of my plans. It's unbelievable that I squandered so many years of my life with such a callous person. You've destroyed all we owned. That's your issue right now, isn't it? Tessa, goodbye. All well, if that's what you desire. But keep in mind, things will get better. All of the money I paid on your behalf will be reimbursed to me. I'll ensure it. Pay you back. Tessa, don't be so silly. If you believe I'll give you even a single dime, you're dreaming. We shall investigate that. I will not allow you to go without accepting accountability for your debts. Marcus, you regret underestimating me. Leela, just try and see what you're capable of. Should it alleviate your discomfort? Marcus, we'll see. We'll see. I'm Tessa, and I'll be 46 this year. I was a financial consultant for a very long period, and I enjoyed my profession and the nice pay that came with it. In the meantime, my spouse Marcus, who inherited the tobacco business from his parents, was its owner. Even though our lives were well established and comfortable, there appeared to always be a gap in our lives. Before we were married, Marcus and I had dated for a long time. He was 35 and I was 30 when we tied the knot. When we first got married, we spoke a lot about having kids. I had always desired it, a fantasy that seemed to characterize my feeling of fulfillment. Marcus, however, always found a way to put off the conversation, saying we weren't prepared for the duties of motherhood. I first understood his worries. It was true that having children would take a large amount of time and effort, but we were both preoccupied with advancing our jobs. But as the years passed, my sense of urgency increased. I observed my friends embrace parenting and see how having little children changed their life. A part of me yearned for the same happiness, the kind of unwavering love that only a kid could provide. Over time, the need for a family grew increasingly strong. I couldn't help but question if I had overlooked something genuinely remarkable, something that would have satisfied my inner need. Weeks passed into months, and every day served as a reminder of the life I had longed for but was unable to have. Even so, I made an effort to pretend that I could live with my misgivings and be content with what we had. One day, I was hurrying about looking for my lost wallet, and I ended up going through Marcus's stuff. I was immediately drawn to a crumpled piece of paper that I found among the strewn papers. It served as a stark reminder of an enormous $300,000 debt. I was instantly hit with confusion and fear as I attempted to make sense of the circumstances. How on earth could Marcus have accrued so much debt without my knowledge? My mind was racing with so many concerns that I was confused and worried about our financial future. I confronted Marcus when he got home, pleading for an explanation. Resigned as much as guilty, he acknowledged that the debt had something to do with the tobacco shop. He had put off payments during the lean months in the hopes that things would get better. But the amount had gotten to the point where it was overwhelming him. The debt hung heavy in the air, a cloud over our lives despite Marcus's assurances that everything was under control. In an attempt to lighten the load, he emphasized my respectable salary as a financial advisor. Honestly, I was hesitant. I wasn't sure if I still felt satisfied with Marcus, but the idea of his shop collapsing under the weight of the debt was too much for me to handle. I took him to a seat and we had a serious discussion. Marcus, we should speak. It concerns our future and the goals we've long since set aside. What's on your mind, Tessa? Marcus, it's about the kids. I've waited patiently for them, knowing that one day we'll be prepared. I've wanted them forever. However, time is passing by, and I need to know if starting a family is what you want. Ah, Tessa, you are aware of my affection for you. Not because I don't want children. It's just that our financial condition has been my whole focus. Marcus, if having a family isn't in your heart, maybe it's time we consider separating. Tessa, please refrain from saying that. Without you, I don't know how I would live. We need to address our substantial debt collectively since it is looming over us. I will pay this debt because I love you and I will stop at nothing to have a family with you. However, if that's not what you want, I can't do it. I recognize, Marcus. I'll give it another go for us. But understand that the issue extends beyond debt. It's about creating a life that brings us both fulfillment. I'm grateful, Tessa. I'm not going to fail you. My life became a never-ending cycle of hard labor and devotion after that. I immersed myself into my work and worked even harder to increase my income. I had made up my mind to pay off Marcus's loan in full. Sleep turned becoming a luxury as work took up all of my thoughts. A ray of optimism appeared as the months went by, and the debt gradually decreased. I persisted, steadfast in my resolve to save Marcus and our hopes. I had no idea that this difficult struggle was preparing me for an unexpected turn of events that would call into question everything I had previously believed to be true about my marriage. I was thrilled on the day the last payment was made. I was prepared to bring up kids once more after carefully organizing a party. However, destiny had other ideas. Marcus walked in with a stack of papers when the door flew open. His expression was icy. He handed me the papers silently. I was stunned as I glanced down at them. The documents were for a divorce. I felt a flood of bewilderment go over me as I tried to make sense of what was going. What's this, Marcus? Divorce decrees? Are you really real? Yes, Tessa. Think of it as my farewell gift to you. I've made the decision to dissolve our union and move on. What I'm hearing amazes me. Are you really just discarding me in this manner, after all these years? Oh, Tessa, please stop being so emotional. For me, you have just ever been a handy way to get money. I appreciate you being my cash dispenser up to this point. How could you say things like that? I believe that we were partners who helped one another during good times and bad. Colleagues. Tessa, please. I've sold the tobacco shop, and I'm going to use the proceeds to live the life I've always wanted and tour the globe. I'm done needing you. So everything we built together, the sacrifices I made to pay off your debts, they mean nothing to you. I've moved on, and you're no longer a part of my plans. It's unbelievable that I squandered so many years of my life with such a callous person. You've destroyed all we owned. That's your issue right now, isn't it? Tessa, goodbye. All right, if that's your preference. Recall, though, that this is not the end. I've paid all of the money on your behalf, and you will reimburse me. I will guarantee it. Pay it forward. Tessa, stop being so silly. If you believe that I would give you even a dime, you are dreaming. We'll check into it. You cannot go without accepting responsibility for your obligations from me. Marcus, you'll come to regret undervaluing me. Leela, just give it a shot and see what you can manage. If that helps you feel better at all. We'll see, Marcus. We'll see. As the reality revealed itself to me, my entire world fell apart. His egotistical aspirations crushed the hopes we had once shared. Devastation gave way to rage, and I instantly left him. I was stunned. It came to light that he was only abusing my affection and dedication. Despite my heartbreak, I remained steadfast in my pursuit of justice and the return of what was properly mine. To find out how I might force Marcus to pay back the money I had invested in his debt, I spoke with seasoned lawyers. My legal team assisted me in navigating the intricate web of contracts and legislation to make sure that justice was done. We ultimately amended the divorce documents to reflect our wishes while adhering to the law, and we returned them to Marcus. He had already left the house we used to share by then. Despite my fear and sadness, I forced myself to smile. Ultimately, the only one capable of saving me was me. Marcus complained to me about the divorce papers the following day. A mix of irritation and despair came out in his voice. I was immediately aware of the topic he was about to cover. "Tessa, what kind of deranged game are you playing? Wanting me to pay back the money you borrowed to help me? This is really ridiculous. It's not a game, Marcus. All I'm asking is that you act morally. Obviously, this is incorrect. You were my spouse. That was supposed to be done for me by you. All I'm doing is sticking to the conditions of the prenuptial agreement that we both signed. You recall, are you not?" "Hold on, what?" "The financial obligations that would fall on each of us in the event of our divorce are spelled out in that agreement. You will be legally obligated to reimburse me for all the money I have spent on your behalf in the event of a divorce." Wait, that kind of word existed. "Tessa, I'm shocked that you would harm me in this way. So, everything was a part of your grand scheme." "Marcus, I understood the hazards in a relationship since I worked as a financial advisor. I never intended for things to go to this point, but I had to consider the possible repercussions. So, all this time, you've been playing the victim while covertly preparing to destroy me. Is that all there is to it?" "No, Marcus, it's not the case. I wanted us to have a safe future together, but I had to defend myself because of what you did." "Defend yourself? Tessa, you've abandoned me with nothing. You demanded money, sold the store, and are now celebrating your victory. Marcus, nothing is bringing me joy. I'm glad I refused to let myself be used unfairly any longer. However, trust me when I tell that this is not how I ever intended it to end." "Well, Tessa, congrats. You achieved your goals. I've lost everything because of you, and all I have left are bills and crushed hopes. Marcus, I won't apologize for standing up for myself. Please think again, Tessa. For the sake of old times, just lend a hand. Henry, no. See you in court, I hope. Farewell." I felt a wave of happiness and victory pass through me at that same instant. Our prenuptial agreement helped us win since the court decided in my favor. While I was about to start a new chapter in my life, Marcus had fallen into debt once more. The power dynamic had changed, and the tables had turned. I moved on from Marcus and pursued my life's goals. With the love and support of those who had supported me throughout it all, I concentrated on starting again as he became further deeply in debt. I lost myself in my job and felt purposeful and fulfilled again. Midway through my self-discovery quest, I met Daniel, a fantastic man, by chance. He was understanding of the value of aspirations and second chances, and he was kind and sensitive. We felt a connection that I had never had before. I realized I had discovered a relationship worth sacrificing everything for when our friendship developed into something more. We got married at the town hall in a straightforward yet heartfelt ceremony. I found out I was pregnant in my late 40s against all chances. Our hearts were filled with astonishment and thankfulness as the news filled us with tears of pleasure and disbelief. There were difficulties along the way when we eventually became parents, but we tackled them head-on, love and resolve as a team. Daniel was there for me through all of my doctor appointments and uncertain times. I felt secure knowing that I wasn't traveling this lovely adventure alone because of his support. I finally got to hold my infant in my arms on that day. A wave of feelings swept over me. I called her Grace because I saw the personification of our love. She was the grace that had led me into this amazing new chapter of my life and through the hardest times. In the end, I at last had the family of my dreams and the joyful ending I deserved.
Hi, I'm Mara. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from my life. Now let's get into it. It's one of those mornings where an extra cup of coffee is non-negotiable. The sunlight barely filters through the closed blinds, as if trying not to disturb the fragile peace in our home. Here, in the quiet corner of the kitchen, I find a moment of solace with my medication lined up next to my mug, each pill a small promise of normalcy in my otherwise chaotic health journey. "Ethan, have you seen my new prescription bottle?" I call out, scanning the countertop. From the hallway, his voice echoes back, a mix of urgency and concern. I haven't touched it, Mara. Maybe check in the bathroom again. His suggestion sends me on a fruitless search through our small, cluttered apartment. Bathroom cabinets, bedroom nightstands, even under the couch. Places that have become all too familiar hiding spots for my essentials, especially when his mother visits. Your mom called last night, didn't she? I ask, my voice heavy with more than just curiosity as I confront Ethan in the living room. He pauses, a frown creasing his usually light features. Yeah, she did, Mara. She's just worried about us, about how much you're relying on those meds. Worried, or does she still think I'm faking it? The bitterness in my voice surprises even me. But it's hard to keep the edge out when Dorothy's disbelief has been a constant shadow over our marriage. Ethan sighs, running a hand over his face. She's from a different time, thinks differently, but she loves us, Mara. Does she love us, or does she love controlling us, Ethan? I press, not willing to back down. Every time she wades into our lives, I feel like I'm the one drowning. He steps closer, his intent to comfort clear. But his next words falter on his lips as if unsure. Mara, she suggested. Suggested what? My heart races, a mix of fear and anger simmering just below the surface. That maybe you try a few weeks without the meds, to prove to her you're really sick. The room spins a bit, and I steady myself against the back of the sofa. And you told her what? That her unlicensed, unmedical opinion is more important than my doctor's. It's not like that, he insists. She thinks it's all in your head, And you didn't defend me? The accusation hangs heavy between us. I did, Mara. I always do. It's just hard, you know. His plea is sincere, his conflict obvious, but it's not enough to soothe the sting of betrayal. Hard for you or hard for me? I challenge, the pills in my hand, now a symbol of the battles I face, both seen and unseen, because right now it feels like I'm fighting this on my own. Ethan's shoulders slump, his usual resolve melting under the weight of our reality. I'm sorry, Mara. I'll talk to her again. I'll fix this. As he leaves for work, the promise lingers but does little to quell the turbulence left in his wake. I turn back to my pill organizer, the neat rows of capsules now blurred through the tears welling in my eyes. Here, in the quiet aftermath of our morning skirmish, I brace myself for the upcoming medical review and the ever-looming presence of Dorothy in our lives. Her skepticism a constant echo in our conversations. But as I stand resolute, I know this. I will fight for my health, with or without their belief. Because in this battle, the truest victory is survival, and I intend to survive. You didn't. Please tell me you didn't just throw them away. I say, my voice a mix of disbelief and rising panic. I had to, Mara. Mom was so certain. You know how she gets. She thought if you went without them and nothing changed, she'd see she was wrong. Ethan's words tumble out in a rushed whisper, his face a portrait of regret. And you thought gambling with my health was the way to prove a point to your mother. The room feels colder, the walls inching closer as my heart hammers against my ribs. It's not like that. I just wanted peace, Mara, for all of us. He reaches out, but I step back, my trust fraying like worn fabric. Peace? By making me sick. You call that peace, Ethan? My laugh is hollow bitter as I back away from him. I'm sorry, I didn't think. No, you didn't think. That's exactly right. My words slice through the tense air, my anger sharpening them like knives. And now, without my meds, I'm spiraling. Do you get that? Spiraling, Ethan. He sinks into the couch, his hands buried in his hair, the weight of his choice pressing down on him visibly. I can fix this. I'll get new ones, talk to the doctor, whatever it takes. And what about her, Ethan? What about Dorothy? When do you stop letting her puppeteer our lives? My question hangs heavy between us, loaded with years of her interference. I don't know. Well, think fast, because I'm not going to sit around being your mother's experiment. I'm pacing now, each step releasing a fraction of the storm inside me. The next day, while Ethan's at work, I find the old tape recorder, dusty but functional. It feels deceitful, underhanded even, but what choice do I have? I tuck it into the lining of my purse, a small bulge of betrayal and necessity. At dinner, Dorothy is all smiles and passive-aggressive jabs. Feeling better today, dear? You look, well, the same. Her eyes gleam with unspoken accusations. Funny, isn't it? How some illnesses don't have faces. You never know the battle someone's fighting just by looking at them. My tone is casual, but my fingers twitch around the purse strap. Oh, I can imagine, Dorothy says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. So many people these days claim things just for attention. Not that I'm saying you are, dear, but it does make you wonder. Her words are sugared poison. It does make you wonder who you can really trust, I reply, my voice steady as the recorder silently captures every venom-laced word. Trust is important, you know. Ethan trusts me. He knows I only want what's best for him, for you both. Her voice is too smooth, too calculated. And what you think is best is what matters, right, Dorothy? Even if it's not actually what's best for us? I challenge, steering the conversation like a pilot navigating stormy skies. Well, I am his mother. Who knows him better than me? Her laugh, light and chilling, fills the dining room, the recorder catching every bit of condescension, manipulation, and her blatant disregard for my well-being. Dinner with Dorothy is a masterclass in endurance, each course served with a side of insinuations. Really, Mara, all these medications, it's more mental, don't you think? A crutch, she says, her voice syrupy sweet, her words dipped in venom. Sometimes what we perceive as mental is just misunderstood. I counter smoothly, my fingers brushing against the recorder, ensuring it's still capturing every word. Oh, misunderstandings are common in families. But we're family now, aren't we? We can be honest here. A smirk plays on Dorothy's lips, the kind that tells me she's enjoying this far too much. Honesty's a two-way street, I reply, keeping my voice steady despite the pounding of my heart. The meal drags on, with Dorothy dancing around her true intentions, veiling her digs and fox concern. But as we linger over dessert, her guard drops just enough, coaxed by the false security of the familial setting. Ethan told me he helped you cleanse from those pesky pills. It's for the best, really, you'll see. Everyone will see soon enough that you've been just fine without them. Her grin is all teeth, no warmth. I feel a cold shiver down my spine, but I maintain my composure. And if I'm not just fine, I ask, my tone deceptively calm. Then I suppose you'll have proven me wrong, but we both know that won't happen, Dorothy. Her confidence is infuriating, but it's exactly what I need on tape. The next morning, my body betrays me. The lack of proper medication takes its toll, leaving me writhing on the floor, clutching my chest, gasping for breath. Ethan finds me, panic etched across his face as he dials for an ambulance. His mother's theories are far from his mind in the face of stark reality. In the sterile white of the hospital room, hooked to monitors and IVs, I make my plans. The recording is safe, tucked away, a silent ace up my sleeve. Ethan sits beside me, his eyes hollow with worry. I can't believe this happened, Mara. I should have never listened to her, he says, his voice breaking, laden with guilt. We can't change the past, but we can affect the future. It starts with facing the truth together. I reach for his hand, the recorder now burning a hole in my purse, metaphorically speaking. What do you mean? Ethan's brow furrows as his gaze meets mine. I recorded everything, Ethan. Every word your mother said about my illness, about the medication. It's time we confronted her with proof. My voice is firm, resolve steeled by nights of pain and betrayal. You recorded, Mom. His initial shock morphs into understanding, the pieces falling into place. Mara, if this is what it takes, then let's do it. Let's stop this once and for all. With legal counsel briefed and strategies laid out, the confrontation is inevitable. Dorothy arrives punctually, her demeanor composed, until we play the recording. The playback echoes through the room, her own words revealing the true nature of her intentions. This is out of context, she protests, her voice cracking as her carefully constructed facade begins to crumble. She stammered, the facade crumbling as she faced not just me, but an irrefutable betrayal of her own making. There's no context that justifies what you've done, Dorothy. I trusted you. We trusted you. And you endangered my life for what? To prove a point. Ethan's voice was steady, but the disappointment was palpable. The legal threats were clear. Her actions were not just morally reprehensible, but criminally liable. As Dorothy realized the gravity of the situation, her bluster deflated, replaced by a rare, reluctant silence. Sitting there, in that charged atmosphere of reckoning, the path forward became clearer than it had ever been. This battle, born from whispered conspiracies and cruel intentions, would end with the truth laid bare and justice, though delayed, ready to be served. "This is it, Ethan. Today we set things right," I said firmly as we sat across from Dorothy in the small, stark conference room of our lawyer's office. The air was tense, charged with the impending confrontation. Dorothy sat rigidly, her usual demeanor of control slipping as she glanced between Ethan and me, a flicker of unease in her eyes. "I don't understand why we're here like this, Ethan, darling. What is this all about?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan's response was measured, but I could hear the tremble in his voice. "Mom, it's about what you've done. Mara, play the recording." I nodded, pressing the play button on the recorder. Dorothy's voice filled the room, stark against the backdrop of her current vulnerable state. "I told Ethan to get rid of those pills," her voice echoed, condemning her as the reality of her words settled in. Dorothy's face paled, her eyes darting to Ethan, searching for some sign of support, but there was none. "Ethan, I was just worried. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean what, Mom? To hurt me? To nearly kill my wife?" Ethan's voice rose, a crescendo of pain and betrayal. How could you? How could you play with Mara's life like that?" Dorothy stammered, her composure cracking. I thought it was for the best. I didn't believe she was really sick. I thought she was lying, taking you away from me. By risking her life? No, Mom, that's not concern. That's control, and it's wrong." Ethan's declaration was a barrier she couldn't cross. Miss Patel, our lawyer, interjected, her tone professional but stern. "Mrs. Dorothy, we have enough here for a serious legal case, emotional abuse, endangerment, manipulation. What do you have to say for yourself?" Dorothy's voice was barely a whisper, her usual fire reduced to embers. "I am sorry. I was wrong. Can we fix this? Sorry doesn't change what you did. We're moving forward with the charges," I said, not out of vengeance but out of necessity. The need for accountability was crystal clear. The legal discussions that followed were a blur, with terms like settlement and restraining orders tossed around. Dorothy agreed to a settlement, the terms strict and non-negotiable. She was to pay for all medical expenses and damages, a financial acknowledgement of her physical and emotional trespasses. As we left the office, Ethan took my hand, his grip tight. "Mara, I'm so sorry for everything, for not standing by you sooner. It's going to take time, Ethan. A lot of it. But today was a good first step." I replied, my words not just for him, but for myself as well, a reminder of the path forward. "I know, and I'm here for all of it. We'll rebuild together." Ethan's promise rang with a sincerity that had been missing before. The weight of his mother's influence finally lifted. In the days that followed, my health began to stabilize, my body no longer a battleground for familial warfare, but a testament to resilience. I started attending therapy, both individual and couples, with Ethan, each session a brick in the foundation we were rebuilding. Life settled into a new rhythm, one where my voice was heard and my health prioritized. Ethan and I grew closer, the scars of the past slowly healing into lessons for the future. And as I reclaimed my health and our life together, I knew this: I was no longer just a survivor, but a victor. My spirit and body were no longer shackled by deceit, but lifted by truth and justice. The story has reached its conclusion, and Mara's struggle for justice has unfolded. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you were in Mara's shoes, would you have gone as far as recording a private conversation to expose the truth? Or would you have chosen a different path to prove your point? Your opinions are valuable, and I'm really interested in seeing different perspectives on handling such a delicate situation. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more intriguing tales. Your support helps us continue to bring these stories to life. Hi, I'm Emily. Marrying Mark Turner felt like stepping into another universe. His family, the Turners, were the epitome of high society. Wealthy, influential, and to an outsider, intimidating. Their estate was a sprawling masterpiece, with every inch meticulously manicured and every room a testament to their wealth. Walking through those halls, I felt like a character in a movie. It was breathtaking and, admittedly, a bit overwhelming. In the beginning, I was naively optimistic, believing that love was enough to bridge the gap. But the Turners had their own rules, their own way of doing things. It was like an unspoken game, and I was the only one who didn't know the rules. David, Mark's older brother, was the ringleader. He had this way of making you feel insignificant without raising his voice. "So, Emily, this must be a big change from where you grew up, huh?" he would say, his voice dripping with condescension, his eyes scanning me like I was an exhibit. I tried to laugh it off, replying, "Every day is an adventure, David. I'm just trying to keep up." Then there were the dinners, where every word felt like a test, and every silence was loaded with meaning. Mrs. Turner, with her piercing gaze, always found a way to remind me of my humble origins. "It's so brave of you, Emily, to step into our world. Not everyone can adapt to such refinement," she'd say. But I was determined not to let them get to me. I wanted to prove that I was more than what they saw, more than just the girl from the other side of the tracks who had managed to snag the good son of a wealthy family. Then I found out I was pregnant. Suddenly, there was this flicker of hope. Maybe this baby would be the bridge between me and the Turners, something that would soften them and make them see me as one of their own. When I told Mark, his face lit up as if I had just handed him the world. "We're going to have a baby, Em. Can you believe it? You're going to be an amazing mom," he said. I clung to that optimism, thinking maybe, just maybe, this baby could change everything. But life has a way of not playing by your rules. Instead of bringing the family closer, the news of my pregnancy seemed to light the fuse of an already ticking bomb. The Turners had always been about wealth and inheritance, and my baby represented a shift in the balance they weren't ready for. David's animosity became more apparent. It started subtly. A snide comment here, a backhanded compliment there. "A baby, huh? Dad's going to have to rethink his will now." "Congratulations, Emily," he said once, his smile not reaching his eyes. The tension in the house grew thicker each day. I tried to keep my distance, but living under the same roof felt like being constantly watched by vultures, waiting for a carcass. One day, it all came crashing down. Mark was delayed at work, and I was alone with Mrs. Turner and David. The air felt heavy, charged with unspoken anger and resentment. The confrontation started over something trivial. I think I had moved a vase to dust around it, but it escalated quickly. "You think you can just come in here and change everything?" David's voice was cold, his eyes flashing with anger. "I was just cleaning, David. I didn't mean to upset anyone," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Cleaning? Or snooping around? We know your game, Emily. You're nothing but a gold digger trying to secure your child's future at our expense." Mrs. Turner chimed in, her voice dripping with disdain. I felt trapped, the walls of the opulent living room closing in on me. "That's not true. I love Mark, and this baby, our baby, is a blessing," I managed to say, but my voice was trembling. Then it happened. In a moment of rage, David stepped forward and pushed me. I fell hard onto the ground. The pain was immediate, and I knew something was terribly wrong. I lay there, cradling my stomach, as David and Mrs. Turner stood over me. There was a moment of shock on their faces, but no remorse. "Look what you made me do," David muttered, more to himself than to me. When Mark finally came home, he found me in a state of shock, bruises forming, tears streaming down my face. Between sobs and gasps of pain, I told him everything. Mark's reaction was a mix of horror, anger, and disbelief. He helped me up, his arms around me, his eyes burning with fury. "We're leaving, Emily, tonight. I won't let them hurt you or our baby anymore." We packed in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. As we drove away from the Turner estate, I felt a sense of relief mixed with deep, overwhelming sadness. But the worst was yet to come. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed our fears. We had lost the baby. The fall, the trauma, it was too much. Lying in that hospital bed with Mark by my side, everything felt surreal. The Turners, their estate, the wealth, none of it mattered anymore. All I could think about was the baby we lost, the future we had dreamed of, gone in an instant. Leaving the Turner estate was like stepping out of a storm into an uncertain calm. Mark and I were broken, trying to piece together our lives after the loss. We moved into a small apartment, a stark contrast to the grandeur we had left behind, but it became our sanctuary. Those first few weeks were tough. Mark threw himself into work, while I struggled to find my footing in a world that suddenly felt so different. We talked less, the silence between us filled with the unspoken grief of what we had lost. But amidst our sorrow, there was a glimmer of light. Mark's father, Mr. Turner. He was the antithesis of the rest of his family. Where they were cold, he was warm. Where they were calculating, he was genuine. He visited often, always with a kind word and a listening ear. "Emily, my dear, I'm so sorry for what happened. Your family, and you always will be," he'd say, his eyes filled with a sincerity that was rare in his family. His visits were a balm to our aching hearts. He never pushed, never pried, just offered his support and love. It was Mr. Turner who helped us see that life could still be beautiful, that we could rebuild from our loss. Then something miraculous happened. I discovered I was pregnant again. The joy was immediate, but so was the fear. The memory of our loss was still too fresh, too painful. But with Mark and Mr. Turner's support, I allowed myself to feel a cautious hope. Mark's face when I told him about the pregnancy was a mix of happiness and fear. "We're going to be extra careful this time, Em. I'm not letting anything happen to you or our baby," he said. Mr. Turner was overjoyed when he heard the news. "A new beginning," he said, his eyes shining with tears. "This child, Emily, is a blessing, a sign that life goes on, no matter what." But fate had a cruel twist in store. Just when things seemed to be looking up, we received the news. Mr. Turner had passed away unexpectedly. It was a shock that shook us to our core. He had been our rock, our safe harbor in the storm that was his family. The brief period of mourning that followed was overshadowed by the palpable greed of the Turner family. It was like vultures circling, waiting to see what they could claim from Mr. Turner's legacy. As we grieved the loss of a truly good man, it became clear that the battle for the Turner inheritance was just beginning. But in that moment, all I could think about was the baby growing inside me, a symbol of hope in a time of darkness. After Mr. Turner's passing, the atmosphere within the Turner family shifted palpably. The solemnity of mourning was quickly overshadowed by a barely concealed eagerness for the inheritance. It was like watching actors in a poorly scripted play, their grief giving way to greed. Mark and I attended the reading of the will with a sense of dread. The rest of the Turner family was abuzz with anticipation, speculating about their shares of the estate. The lawyer cleared his throat, opening the will. You could have heard a pin drop. "Mr. Turner has made some specific allocations in his will," he began, his voice formal and emotionless. As the lawyer read on, shock rippled through the room. Mr. Turner had left a significant portion of his estate to me and our unborn child, ensuring our financial security and independence. David's face was a picture of disbelief and anger. "This can't be right. He's leaving money to her and her child." His voice was laced with venom. Mrs. Turner was equally incredulous, her shock mirroring David's. "But that's our inheritance. How could he do this?" David's voice seethed with anger, his eyes blazing with disbelief. The lawyer, unfazed by the outburst, continued calmly. Mr. Turner was very clear in his intentions. He wanted to ensure that Emily and her child are well taken care of. I sat there, stunned and humbled by Mr. Turner's foresight and kindness. Mark squeezed my hand, his expression a mix of sadness and gratitude. "Dad always knew what was right," he whispered. The rest of the reading passed in a blur, with David and Mrs. Turner exchanging whispered arguments and shooting angry glares our way. But something had shifted within me. I felt a newfound strength, a resolve to stand up against their greed and malice. After the reading, the backlash was immediate. "You manipulated my father," David accused, his face flushed with rage. "I did no such thing," I replied, my voice steady. "Your father was a kind man who saw what was happening in his own house." Mrs. Turner tried to interject, but Mark stepped in. "Enough. Dad made his choice, and we will respect it. Emily and our child deserve this." As we left the lawyer's office, the weight of the Turner family's animosity bore down on us. But there was also a sense of liberation. We were no longer bound to them, no longer tethered to their toxic world. That day marked a turning point for me. I was no longer the outsider trying to fit in. I was a mother-to-be, a woman with a newfound purpose, ready to protect my family against whatever the Turners might throw our way. The birth of my son was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. After so much pain and loss, holding him in my arms felt like a piece of heaven had been handed to me. His tiny fingers, his soft cries, they were symbols of hope, of a future finally looking bright. Mark was an incredible father, his love and support unwavering. We named our son Ethan, a name that meant strong and enduring. It suited him, and it suited us. a family that had weathered the storm and emerged stronger. Meanwhile, the Turner family's world began to crumble. The inheritance, or the lack thereof, hit them hard. David, consumed by greed and anger, found himself embroiled in legal troubles. His shady business dealings, once overlooked due to his father's influence, were now in the spotlight. He faced lawsuits and financial ruin, his fall from grace a stark contrast to his former arrogance. Mrs. Turner's life took a downward spiral as well. Without the financial cushion she was accustomed to, her lavish lifestyle became unsustainable. The friends she once hosted with such grandeur began to distance themselves, leaving her in a lonely, self-made exile. As for Mark and me, we built a life filled with love and laughter, far from the toxic environment of the Turner estate. I started a small business, something I had always dreamed of but never had the courage to pursue. To my joy and surprise, it flourished. Mark found success in his career too, his integrity and hard work paying off. We were a team in every sense of the word, building a life on our terms, away from the shadows of the Turner legacy. One evening, as I watched Ethan play, Mark came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "We did it, Em. We made it through," he said softly. I leaned back into his embrace, a smile in my voice. "We did," I replied, "and we have so much to be thankful for." Looking back, the journey was anything but easy. There were moments of despair, of heartache, but there were also moments of incredible strength, of love that refused to be diminished. In the end, justice was served, not just in the downfall of the Turners, but in the life we built out of the ashes of that ordeal. We found joy, not in their misery, but in our own triumph, in our ability to rise above and create something beautiful out of something so broken. The story has reached its conclusion, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. But before you go, I have a question for you. In a world filled with challenges and difficult decisions, what do you believe is the true measure of victory? Is it revenge or the ability to find peace and build a better life? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have a thoughtful discussion. And if you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more captivating stories and engaging discussions. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to see your opinions in the comments. Thanks for watching. Hey, what's up? I'm Jake Miller. Before I dive into the craziness that went down with my family, do me a solid, smash that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this. So I'm a 32-year-old dad living the American dream with my amazing wife, Sarah, and our little angel, Lily. We run our own coffee shop downtown, and life was pretty dang good. Sarah and I met in college, fell head over heels, and got married right after graduation. Her parents, Frank and Helen, seemed great at first, always smiling, bringing gifts for Lily, the whole 9 yards. "Jake, my boy, how's business?" "Can't complain, Frank. We're doing all right." But lately something felt off. Frank's smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore, and Helen was always fidgeting with her purse. Last week, they showed up at the coffee shop unannounced. "Sarah, sweetie, can we talk to you for a minute?" Helen's voice was sweet, but I could sense the desperation. I watched from behind the counter as they huddled in a corner booth. Sarah's expression went from confused to worried in no time. Later that night, Sarah told me what happened. "They asked for money again, Jake. Said it was for car repairs." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "That's the 3rd time this month. Something's not adding up." We'd already lent them a couple of grand, which they swore they'd pay back, but so far, nothing. The next day, Frank cornered me at the shop. "Say, Jake, you wouldn't happen to have a spare 5 grand lying around, would you?" "Just until next month. I've got a business opportunity." 5 grand, Frank? That's a lot of money. "What's this opportunity exactly?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, you know, stocks and stuff. It's complicated." "Yeah, right. I wasn't born yesterday. Sorry, Frank. We're tight right now with the shop expansion and all." His face darkened for a split second before that fake smile returned. "No worries, my boy. I understand completely." But as he left, I couldn't shake this uneasy feeling in my gut. Something was seriously wrong with Sarah's parents, and I had a hunch it was more than just money troubles. That night, I tried to talk to Sarah about it. "Babe, don't you think your parents have been acting weird lately?" "What do you mean?" "All these requests for money. The vague excuses. I'm worried they might be in some kind of trouble. Sarah sighed. They're just going through a rough patch, Jake. They'll figure it out. But I wasn't so sure. The way Frank's eyes darted around. How Helen's hands shook when she thought no one was looking. Classic signs of people in deep trouble. I decided to do some digging. Call it paranoia, call it intuition, but something told me I needed to protect my family. And if that meant uncovering whatever skeletons Frank and Helen had in their closet, so be it. Little did I know, I was about to uncover a nightmare that would turn our whole world upside down. But hey, that's what you do for family, right? Even when family turns out to be the ones you need protection from. Things got tense real quick. Frank and Helen started showing up at our place almost every day, always with some new sob story. Sarah, honey, we're about to lose the house. Can't you help your old folks out? I'd had enough. Look, Frank, we've already given you guys over 10 grand. What the hell's going on? Helen burst into tears, but something about it seemed off. Sarah was torn. I could see it in her eyes. Mom, Dad, we love you, but we can't keep doing this. We have our own family to think about. Frank's face turned red. So that's it? You're just going to let your parents end up on the street? I stepped in. Nobody's ending up on the street, but we need to know what's really going on here. They stormed out, slamming the door behind them. Sarah was a mess. Jake, what if they really are in trouble? I hugged her tight. We'll figure it out, babe. But something's not right. A few days later, we had a big family dinner. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Frank cleared his throat. So we've been thinking, how about we sell the coffee shop and split the money? Excuse me? That shop is our livelihood, Frank. Helen chimed in, her voice sickly sweet. But family's more important than money, right, Sarah? Sarah looked like she'd been slapped. Mom, what are you talking about? That shop is for Lily's future. Things escalated quickly. Frank started yelling about ungrateful children, Helen was crying again, and Sarah was caught in the middle. I'd had enough. All right, that's it. You two need to leave now. As they were heading out, I overheard Frank on the phone. Yeah, they're not budging. We'll have to move to Plan B. My blood ran cold. What the hell was Plan B? The next day, Frank and Helen offered to take Lily to the park. Sarah thought it might smooth things over. I don't know, babe. Something doesn't feel right. Jake, they're her grandparents. It'll be fine. Against my better judgment, we agreed. Biggest mistake of our lives. Hours passed with no sign of them. Sarah was freaking out. They're not answering their phones, Jake. Something's wrong. We drove to the park, panic rising. No sign of Lily or her grandparents. That's when I got the text, a picture of Lily, scared and crying, with a message. Asterisk, want to see her again. We need $500,000. No cops, asterisk. Sarah screamed when she saw it. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Those bastards took our baby. Sarah, your parents kidnapped our daughter. We were in full panic mode. Sarah was hysterical, and I was trying to think straight. We have to call the cops, Jake. And tell them what? That your parents, who've been at every family event, suddenly decided to kidnap their granddaughter. They'll think we're crazy. I paced the room, mind racing. We needed a plan. A way to get Lily back and make sure Frank and Helen never pulled this again. Sarah, listen to me. We're going to get her back, and then we're going to make them pay. You with me? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. What are we going to do? I grabbed my phone. First, we play their game. Then we change the rules. Little did Frank and Helen know, they just messed with the wrong family. Kidnapping my daughter. O was on, and I was about to show them just how far a father would go to protect his own. The ransom demands started rolling in, each one more insane than the last. $500,000 by midnight, or you'll never see her again. Sarah was losing it. Jake, we don't have that kind of money. I know, babe. We're going to figure this out. We tried going to the cops, but that was a joke. So you're telling me your in-laws with no criminal record suddenly decided to kidnap their granddaughter? Come on, sir. I lost it. Listen, you donut-munching idiot, my daughter is missing. That got us kicked out real quick. Guess we were on our own. That's when I hashed a plan, risky as hell. But what choice did we have? Sarah, we're going to set a trap, make them think we're playing along. I texted Frank. Asterisk while get the money. Need proof Lily's okay. Asterisk they sent a video. Lily looked scared but unharmed. Daddy, I want to come home. It took everything not to smash my phone. I dug into Frank and Helen's background. Turns out they were drowning in gambling debts, casinos, online poker, you name it. Jesus, Sarah, they owe over $1 million to some scary people. Sarah was in shock. How could they do this? I set up a meet, told them we had the cash but needed to do the exchange in person. Frank's voice was cold. Fine. Abandoned warehouse on 5th, midnight. Come alone. I had a buddy hook me up with a wire. If I couldn't get the cops involved officially, I'd get the evidence myself. Midnight came. The warehouse was dark, creepy as hell. Frank, Helen, I've got the money. Where's Lily? Frank stepped out of the shadows, gun in hand. Hand it over, Jake. Nice and easy. Let me see Lily first. Helen appeared, dragging a terrified Lily. Daddy. It's okay, sweetheart. You'll be home soon. Frank snatched the bag, checked inside. His face turned purple. What the hell is this? It's just paper. I smirked. Oops, guess I'm not as dumb as you thought. That's when all hell broke loose. Frank aimed the gun, but I was quicker, tackling him hard, the gun skidding across the floor. Helen screamed, letting go of Lily. Run, baby. Run to mommy. Lily bolted as I grappled with Frank. He was stronger than he looked. You ungrateful little. We gave you everything. I laughed in his face. You gave us nothing but grief, old man. Sirens wailed in the distance. Helen panicked. Frank, the cops, we have to go. But it was too late. I had Frank pinned, the wire catching every word. It's over, Frank. You lose. The cops burst in, guns drawn. Sarah ran in behind them, scooping up Lily as they cuffed Frank and Helen. The truth came out, gambling debts, loan sharks, the whole ugly mess. Frank spat at me. We would have paid it back. You ruined everything. I looked him dead in the eye. You ruined it when you took my daughter. As they were led away, Sarah hugged me tight. Lily nestled between us. It's over, babe. We're safe now. But deep down, I knew it wasn't really over. The betrayal, the fear, those leave scars. But we were together, and that's what mattered. Lily looked up at me, her eyes wide. Daddy, are the bad people gone? I kissed her forehead. Yes, sweetheart. The bad people are gone, and they're never coming back. The weeks after the kidnapping were rough. Lily had nightmares, Sarah was a wreck, and I was just trying to hold it all together. We were sitting in the living room when the news hit. Asterisk breaking news. Kidnappers Frank and Helen Thompson escaped custody in a daring jailbreak. Asterisk Sarah gasped. Oh God, Jake, they're coming for us. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the cops, when another update flashed across the screen. Asterisk update, fugitives involved in high-speed chase crash on Highway 101. Both suspects critically injured. Asterisk, it was like the air got sucked out of the room. Sarah's face was pale. They're hurt. I nodded, not sure how to feel. Looks like karma caught up with them. The next few days were a blur. Reporters camped outside our house. The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Jake, how do you feel about your in-laws' accident? I slammed the door in their faces. How the hell was I supposed to feel? Sarah was struggling. They're still my parents, Jake. I can't just stop caring. I tried to be understanding, but it was hard. They kidnapped our daughter, Babe. They chose money over family. We started therapy, all of us. Lily would wake up crying, asking if the bad grandma and grandpa were coming back. No, sweetheart, they can't hurt us anymore. The community rallied around us. Customers at the coffee shop left huge tips, neighbors brought food. It helped, but the trust issues ran deep. We visited Frank and Helen in the hospital once. They were a mess. Frank was paralyzed. Helen had severe brain damage. Sarah broke down. Mom, Dad, how could you do this to us? They couldn't answer. Maybe that was for the best. As we left, I felt the weight lift. We don't owe them anything, Sarah. It's time to focus on us. One night, as we tucked Lily into bed, she asked, Daddy, are we safe now? I hugged her tight. Yeah, baby. We're safe. And I promise I'll always protect you. Sarah and I sat on the porch later, watching the stars. You know, Jake, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad they're out of our lives. Me too, babe. Family isn't just blood, it's loyalty, trust, love. We've got that in spades. What do you think happens now? I smiled. Now we live. We love. We stay strong. And we never, ever let anyone mess with our family again. As we sat there, I thought about everything we'd been through, the betrayal, the fear, the fight to get our daughter back. It changed us, sure, but it also made us stronger. Frank and Helen, they got what was coming to them. Karma's a bitch and she doesn't play favorites. Me, I learned that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones closest to home. But I also learned that when you've got real love, real family, there's nothing you can't overcome. So here we are, new names, new home, same unbreakable bond. Lily's growing up strong, Sarah's smile is back, and me? I'm just grateful for every day, every moment, every chance to be the family we were meant to be. Life ain't perfect, but it's ours, and nobody, is ever going to threaten that again. That's a wrap on Jake's intense family drama. Now here's a question for you. If your own parents committed a serious crime against your child, could you ever forgive them? Or would you cut them out of your life completely, no matter what? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This isn't an easy one, but that's the point. Let's get a real conversation going. If this story hit close to home or got you thinking, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got more raw, real-life stories coming your way. Your support keeps these hard-hitting narratives flowing. Stay tuned and let's keep exploring the dark corners of family dynamics together.